When we think about celebrating God with us in the person of Jesus Christ, which is what we celebrate at Christmas, it's difficult to do so without having some reason to believe God actually exists. There can't be a God with us if there is no God who exists in the first place. And of course, by God, I mean a theistic God. That is a God who is separate from but active in creation. So how do we know this theistic God actually exists? Well, we'll look at two quick arguments based on the coming to be of the universe, and one quick argument based on the current existing of the universe here and now. The first argument we'll look at is a very familiar cosmological argument. It goes like this: whatever begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. Now, this is supported by standard Big Bang cosmology that seems to point to the fact that the universe exploded into being seemingly out of nothing a finite time ago. It's also supported by the fact that we can't traverse an infinite number of moments if the universe were infinitely old in order to arrive at today. We also know that all the usable energy in the universe would have been used up an infinite time ago if the universe were infinitely old. So the universe must have had a beginning, and whatever created or began all time, space, matter, and energy must be outside of time, beyond space, immaterial, and extremely powerful. And this is, of course, a very rough notion of what we mean by God. The second argument, based on the coming to be of the universe, looks at the apparent design we see all throughout the universe, even in life itself. So the argument goes like this. Whatever is designed has a designer. The universe and life itself appears to be very intricately designed. Therefore, the universe and life itself must have a designer. Again, this is supported by just our observations of reality, everything from the cosmological constants that make the universe possible, which we call the anthropic principle, in addition to the DNA that's encoded in every living thing, the molecular machines we see in microorganisms. All of these things seem to indicate a very intricate design that requires an intelligence behind it. Combined with other arguments, this type of design argument would seem to point to an ultimate mind, which we would call God, behind the current existing of the life we see around us. Finally, we can demonstrate God's existence by the here and now existing of any aspect of physical reality that we perceive, that we sense, that we see, taste, touch, hear, or smell. So the argument goes something like this. Whatever is composed must have a composer. Every aspect of physical reality is composed. Therefore, every aspect of physical reality must have a composer. As with our previous arguments, the first premise is self-evident. Whatever exists as a composition of parts must be composed by something else, since nothing can create itself. So think of an inflated balloon, for example. The balloon has the potential to be inflated, but there's nothing about the balloon itself that constitutes its necessarily actually being inflated. There must be a man, for example, actually providing the air to inflate the balloon and holding the balloon shut to keep it inflated, or else it would just fly around the room as the air escapes. So in this analogy, the air, which for our purposes is unconfined in this example, represents the unlimited perfection of act or being. The balloon represents the potency to which an act of existence is combined, and this potency limits that unlimited act to be this actually existing thing, this composed thing. So everything that exists is either pure act, unlimited being itself, or it's necessarily a combination of act and potency. So every aspect of physical reality, whether we're talking about a man, a tree, a dog, a shoe, whatever we're looking at, is limited being. That means it exists as this thing, not another, at this time, not another, with these traits, not others, and it's a changeable kind of being. So we know it's not unlimited being itself. It's necessarily a limited being, which means it's necessarily a composition of act and potency. Therefore, there must be something composing every aspect of physical reality and holding it together. Now, there can't be an infinitely long chain of these composed causes, or else nothing would actually exist if every cause itself has to have a composer. So ultimately, we see here and now, for everything that physical at least that exists, there must be an uncomposed composer, pure act. This being that is being itself, currently sustaining everything else that exists at every moment that it exists. Now, I'm convinced this is none other than Yahweh, the great I Am of Exodus 3:14, and also the God who is with us in the person of Jesus Christ, which is what we celebrate at Christmas.